I think we've spoken about some of the political / regulatory risks in terms of the EU and the currency differences. In terms of bigger picture, sustainability, which is always a fringe topic, is becoming more in the mainstream. In the UK, those buildings, commercial buildings, which are seen as being unsustainable and don't meet a particular criteria, will be incapable of being let from 2018. So we're already starting to see a recycling of stock and people getting rid of less good quality stock, or encouraging retrofitting in a sustainable manner to raise the quality of buildings. So I think that is something which is both a factor of where we are in the market and a market trend, but that is a regulatory driven trend. So that's probably one example. There's other things you're saying.
No, I think other than that, the other regulations I think will affect the different countries equally, because they're Europe-wide. If you're talking Solvency 3 and so on, I don't think there's a difference necessarily.
One thing on a UK specific level, which I think will change the way that the perception of regional centres, is the way that there's going to be much more power given to city mayors. So the Mayor of Manchester and the Council of Manchester already has a lot more power than other regional centres. There are other places where what is left for them to control is when the refuse is collected and how people park their cars in the centre of the town, and that's pretty much all they have in terms of discretion. The ability to raise capital and to raise taxes remains at a central government level, which happens to be in London. So the ability of local councils and local authorities to raise capital has been very limited. That's changing as of next year. So that, together with HS2 and high-speed networks coming from Birmingham down to London, will increasingly, I think, affect the way that people perceive the regional centres in a positive way. So that would take much more of the stress out of London and give a level of autonomy which regional centres haven't had that up until now.
Okay, good.
Can I just mention, in terms of differences within these three countries we're touching on at the moment in terms of the residential market, and there's going to be a panel on sectors later, but it's a very popular asset class, multifamily housing in Germany, but I think what people underestimate is the regulatory regime when it comes to tenant protection and the limits on rental uplifts, which people tend to factor in beautifully in their pro formas and their cash flows until they realize, we can't really raise the rents because there's various levels of legal protection, and it's getting more severe as we move on. And you mentioned this, Linus, in the elections in the UK, the left-wing Labour didn't get in, but they would have done a similar thing. It's happening in Germany under a coalition government led by Angela Merkel, who, of course, has given up her business and landlord-friendly stance, which the party started off with some time ago.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Maybe just to elaborate on this, and on the French market, clearly in residential, there is some good operations to make as a developer or as a joint developer, certainly not as a landlord, because the returns will be too low. And as Martin said, I mean, the regulation, but also the taxes and everything will make it extremely difficult to turn a profit in the end. I mean, it's really very, the yields will be, the gross yield will be between 3 and 4% in Paris, but after tax and everything, it will be just meaningless, clearly. So maybe just for family office who just want to have kind of a capital preservation of a long term in some specific location, fine. But not being a landlord, I mean, over the mid or long term, to get a return, no. As a developer, certainly, and there are very good opportunities.